Two guys have Minnesota sports flowing in their veins. Mackey and Judd on Score North and ScoreNorth.com.
He is our guy, Darren Doogie Wolfson from the 5 Eyewitness News Sports Department, bringing us inside information and some reckless speculation Tuesdays and Thursdays here on Minnesota Sports with Mackey and Judd. Dukes, what's going on, man? We got some JJ McCarthy progress we're going to lead the show with here, which is always exciting.
Always exciting to talk about JJ McCarthy, the future of the Vikings. Good to see you, gentlemen. 1 week from today, Kevin O'Connell, Kwesi Adolfo-Mensah at the podium in Indianapolis. So stuff on the combine front will ramp up to some extent Sunday, but certainly this time next week. In fact, I'm looking forward to later today catching up with Jalen Travis. Went to De La Salle High School, then Princeton, then Iowa State. Reed Travis's younger brother. He will be at the combine. He is a middle round draft pick, really good kid, comes from a great family. But on JJ McCarthy, so he's been home in the Chicago area the last handful of days, has been spending some time with his personal quarterbacks coach, Greg Holcomb. They go back to the 7th grade, and there's been some photos on social media put out there. You can even tell in those photos, maybe this is more opinion. It's not like I have tangible evidence to back this up, but looking at the photos put on social media the last couple of days, it looks like JJ has made some progress. If we go back to, week 18 in Detroit, so about 6 weeks ago, we saw those shots of JJ McCarthy on the sideline. Looked pretty darn skinny. Now, there's still some work to be done on rebuilding his body, but it looks like to me in the last 5.5 to 6 weeks, there is legit progress. So JJ is feeling good is the headline here.
Yeah, I think when he was shown at a Timberwolves game about a month ago, 3 weeks ago, and it looks like he's filling out again, if that makes sense. But I think that the whole weight thing, like they purposely have you lose weight. It's not like he was carrying extra weight previously, right? But when you have a surgery like that, you're purposely told to lose weight as part of the ramp up. So like that to me, the storyline of, oh my God, JJ McCarthy might not be prepared to start in 2025 because he's become, so rail thin. That's not how this works. Like, these are professional. The Vikings have a whole staff that's basically in charge of him not being too skinny or too fat. So
he's skinny Rob Lowe with the mayonnaise jar.
That's the least of my concerns. Is JJ McCarthy too thin? He might become a model.
I'm with you. I mean, February 18th, no real concerns. When we get to July, August, the pads come on. I have no doubt in my mind JJ McCarthy is going to be just fine. Now, maybe the true headline to this talking point is those close to JJ still aren't so sure that it's a foregone conclusion that Sam Danrold is going to be elsewhere. I think he's going to be elsewhere, but those close to JJ. So I guess what that points to is either JJ knows and hasn't told people in his tight circle, or JJ hasn't been told anything, which I guess makes sense by the Vikings higher ups. Hey, you're the guy, or hey, here's our plan. We're not doing anything with Sam. He's going to hit the market. He's likely going to be elsewhere. Like, to me, from what I can gather, none of that has been conveyed to JJ McCarthy.
Yeah. Just it's funny. I feel there's some irony in the people that are worried about him putting on 20 pounds. A lot of us could put on 20 pounds over like a 2-week holiday stretch. Like, professional athletes, I know we're talking muscle, not carb loading here, but when given like 7 or 8 months ramp up, how often do you see baseball players, no steroid jokes here, but go away for like 3 months and come back and like, best shape of my life, I put on 15 pounds of muscle? It is a non-factor. So I think the only concern would be he didn't have any real game action from the end of that first, when he got injured in the preseason game. He didn't take practice reps throughout the fall and early winter. So, but he's been taking mental reps. They've got the sort of virtual reality simulated glasses, if you will, and that sort of program. So, yeah, it feels like he's going to be ready to rock and roll physically, and then they have to decide what kind of plan B do we want behind him Do we want to bring in someone that could spell him or start if he's not good in training camp? Or are they just all in on JJ McCarthy going forward?
Well, I mean, I still think plan A should be, and I do think there's all sorts of interest in this, McCarthy, Daniel Jones. Legit interest in re-signing Daniel Jones. Now, on Darnold, we still await word. Will they use the franchise tag? If so, for the purpose of trading him? Is there interest? Maybe some sort of interest, depending on price point, much like Kirk Cousins this time last year, where you work out some sort of 2 or 3 year extension, low cap number in 2025. I still would be surprised. I still think there's going to be a healthy market for the number 1 quarterback, regardless of what took place the final 2 games. There's going to be a healthy market for Sam Darnold. In fact, ESPN.com, Matt Bowen, just today, put out his top 50 free agents, then the best fit for each free agent. He, and we've talked about this, attaches Sam Darnold to the Las Vegas Raiders. The Raiders make all sorts of sense for Sam Darnold.
Now, can we talk about the fact that today, in my opinion, kicks off a glorious time? Because today is the first day to franchise, or Happy Tag Day, as I call it. Now, here's my opinion about how this works, okay? I think that the Vikings have a very good idea of their direction. But I also think that the next 2 weeks are enormous because, like, internally, they're all back now. I think they're meeting, right? But then, as you said, Doogs, next week, they're at the Combine. And that's where the fastballs are thrown. Like, right now, you probably have a pretty good idea of what you think, right? But you are going to learn more from 9 to 5 in Indy next week, after 5 o'clock, over some beverages next week. So, like, I do think that there is a small bit of uncertainty of what are teams actually going to do. And what intrigued me so much about next week is this. That is the time where you could probably find out if you have 2 or more suitors who want Sam. Because to me, I don't think he's going to be franchised, but let's just say that you find out that the Raiders and Steelers are hot and heavy on Sam. And now you've got, okay, this might be advantageous. So I think the next 2 weeks are when we really get into the meat and potatoes of this entire situation here and get some definitive answers.
And let me add to that too, because the Raiders keep popping up for obvious reasons: cap space, quarterback need, everything makes total sense. I saw a report today. I've seen 2 things. I've seen the Steelers number 1 on the Aaron Rodgers odds list in a couple spaces. I saw a report today from Andrew Filipponi, who's like the premier sports talk show host, super plugged in Pittsburgh. And he has a source telling him that the Steelers think Daniel Jones could be a perfect fit for, not perfect, but like a fit for Arthur Smith's offensive system. So you're telling me, let's sit down. We're all sitting here at a game of free agency poker, right? And the Steelers, who have a ready-made defense, they're always, even with like rickety offensive pieces and no quarterback, Mike Tomlin gets those teams to 9 wins, 10 wins, playoffs pretty much every single year, right? That they're sitting at the free agent poker table and they're trying to tell you, yeah, we're rolling forward with 40-year-old Aaron Rodgers, and Daniel Jones is also high up on our list. That they don't have Sam Darnold also penciled in on their want list. I feel like the Steelers are the team to watch that no one's talking about for Sam Darnold, except for maybe us on these scoop sessions twice a week.
Agree, although I still put the Raiders above the Steelers. Is there any possibility, okay, Aaron Rodgers makes some sense, that you feel like there's something salvageable there, that he's so motivated that, okay, maybe he is cooked, but maybe you can salvage something? Then it certainly looks like the 2026 draft for quarterbacks is going to be good. So we get it. 2025, not so much. 26 should be better. That if it doesn't go well with Rodgers, the Steelers, and I'm with you, when does Tomlin not finish above 500? But could this be the year, if it doesn't go right with Rodgers, the Steelers position themselves to get a quarterback high up in the 26 draft? So I don't know if I would put Darnold like number 1 on the Pittsburgh list, but yes, when talking about Sam's next destination, yes, we better talk about the Pittsburgh Steelers. And Judd, to piggyback off your point, I remember this time last year like a weekish out from the combine, there was all sorts of Christian Wilkins steam attaching the Vikings to Wilkins, which was legit. But I think at the combine, now we didn't know it at the time, but I believe at the combine, the Vikings started to get word, we can't get there price-wise. That somebody, in this case the Raiders, was going to blow him away. That's how the Vikings knew when free agency launched to pivot. Boom, snap of the fingers, Jonathan Grenard. How many people did the Vikings agree to terms with within, 5 or 6 hours of free agency starting? I think they knew leading into that early afternoon that Wilkins was not going to be a Viking.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
So that's why, yes, a lot of stuff is going to be figured out next week.
It also didn't get a lot of attention, but our old buddy Tom Pelissero mentioned, I believe it was on Super Bowl Sunday's pregame show, where reckless speculation was like being thrown out like it was candy. It was like Halloween. He linked the Browns to Daniel Jones. And Tom knows stuff. I don't think he was totally, I think he had been told that that's a possibility. So there is a bit of an interesting Daniel Jones wild card here. I have no idea if it leads elsewhere. I have no idea, but but his name is definitely not being forgotten completely. And two things strike me about the Browns. One, right now, beyond screwed up. Two, there's no way that they can make a significant investment in a quarterback now. So it's going to have to be a guy that they can get on the cheap. And Jones makes sort of sense as a hey, I spent half a year in the KO quarterback rehabilitation school. I'm good to go now. I'll sign it on a make good. So I thought it was interesting, and it didn't get much talk that Tom linked Daniel Jones as a possibility, at least to the Browns.
All right, well, let me react in real time because that's the first I've heard of Daniel Jones being attached to the Browns. Love Tom. I just didn't catch him on Super Bowl Sunday, the pregame show. My first thought is thinking about those close to Daniel Jones, those with the Browns. Yes, Tom, I think, was told stuff from multiple people. There's a reason why Tom attached Daniel Jones to the Browns. Makes a ton of sense. But what about Kirk Cousins? Where's Kirk Cousins going to be next year? I wonder if he makes more sense for Cleveland. It's not like it's Jones or bust, right? So they probably have a list of a few guys. I just wonder in the end if that's where Cousins lands.
I would be shocked if any. I know there's always 7 teams just reeking of quarterback desperation. I would be shocked if anyone gave Daniel Jones even like a 50-50 competition for a starter job in week 1. Unless it was truly, all right, we're going to bring him, he's going to be a bridge to Cam Ward or something, and it's an arranged deal like that. So he must have some incredible representation doing some.
Well, he does.
And Sam Darnold, too, because it's like, all right, well, let's move past the last 2 games here and get his value back up to $40 million a year. And that's the game that has to be played between, the end of January until the middle of March. Totally get that. But Daniel Jones, like the fact that it's like, oh, the Steelers have interest. He'd be a great fit. Oh, but he'd be a great fit over here. No, he needs to take a timeout and spend a year in quarterback rehabilitation school.
He's rehabbed, okay, damn it?
Yeah.
He's good. He's good to go.
Spends 5 weeks, as the 5th quarterback in that room with KOC. It's like,
it certainly wasn't a half a season, Judd. It was like just a handful of weeks. He needs another full year of KOC quarterback school.
Fair enough.
And hey, I'm telling you, there's mutual interest on that front. But Judd, you're right. I mean, how great is it for what we do?
Oh, God.
Like today, really, really launches things. Like, okay, we can go back a few weeks, heck, a few months even, right? But think about it. Like, today is the day. Like, we are less than a month from finding out Harrison Smith's future. So 3rd day, league year, what is he going to do? I've been digging around on this. Well, I don't have a definitive answer because my understanding is Harrison has not told multiple people that I think you would tell whatever your decision is. So it's entirely possible Harrison Smith has made a decision, but from what I can gather, he has not relayed that decision to those who need to know / want to know. So will he be back for a 14th season? If he is, they need to figure out the contract. It's not the current terms, whatever the minimal base salary is for 25. He's got some 26, dead money. I don't have all the terms in front of me, but the Harrison Smith contract is tricky. So they would need to rework for a 3rd consecutive off season, whatever that would look like. But to me, he still has a lot of good football in him. He loves playing for Brian Flores. Like, I'm not ready to say, even though in the moment after the Rams loss, it was like, okay, that Ben Lieber interview, others, it certainly looks like Harrison Smith is going to retire. I'm still not there here on February 18th.
Yeah, real quick on his contract. So it is kind of fascinating. It's one of those where clearly the agent and the team came to an agreement on basically a fake contract structure for 2025-26 that causes both sides to go back to the table. So if he is under contract the third day of the league year, which I think is March 14th, his 2026 base salary would become guaranteed. So not 2025, 2026. And that as a placeholder is like a $25 million base salary, which is like obviously the Vikings would never, oh my God, we forgot to set an alarm on the third day of the league year. And now
they
we're on
love
the
the man. He'll be in the Ring of Honor. We can make a compelling case for Canton one day, but no. The Vikings know what they're doing when it comes to the hitman. They will need to redo the deal if he's playing in 25.
But also, his base salary for 2025, this upcoming year, is only like $1.5 million. It's like a league minimum, and he's not going to play on that either. If he comes back, he's going to want more than like $1.5 million guaranteed. So they literally created like a fake contract structure to be revisited before the third day of the league year. And so what we have like less than a month now, I guess, until that happens. So we'll see.
And the Vikings will gather with Hitman's representation in Indianapolis. It's just one of many interesting storylines. Now there's been some steam the last couple of days of the Vikings perhaps using the franchise tag on Byron Murphy Jr. I do think there's sincere interest in keeping him. It makes complete sense. I've not heard on the franchise tag. To me, if you use the franchise tag, if it somehow happens, I've not heard legit steam myself, but if it somehow happens, it's for the sake of just extending the window of let's work out a long-term deal. Like, I don't see Byron Murphy Jr. playing 2025 with the Vikings on the franchise tag, putting pen to paper. Right. That is his contract for 2025. I just don't see it.
Right. On Smith, I do think, Dukes, that the longer that this takes, the more probable it becomes that he returns. Like, I think that if he's going to, the farther you get away from the season, right, and the grind, because you can find a lot of players who on the last day of their season are ready to call it quits. So unless his family steps in and says it's time to be done, I think the longer that this gets pushed out, the better there is a chance that he comes back, which, as we've discussed previously, at his position, I think is a good thing. I don't think there's a downside to him coming back.
No, I don't think there's a downside because I think there's still some pretty good football left. I do. I remember having a conversation with him in August during training camp where he told me, because I was trying to lead into, is it perhaps this being your last year? And he just told me, hey, watch, I've got a pretty good amount of good football left in me. Did all that good football go away in 2024? I mean, maybe he's not the same player he was in 2017, and I don't know what the PFF grades say, but I feel like Harrison Smith was fine in 24. Like, maybe not superstar or anything like that, but yes, like, to me, I don't think there's any downside to his return, whether it's leadership, just all sorts of reasons, but also, most importantly, that he can still perform on the field. So, yes, I would have no problem, me personally, if Harrison Smith is back.
We'll get to the rest of Doogie's scoop bag here in a moment, but a couple of notes for you guys, the audience. This weekend, and man, if you are a golfer, this is about as far away from golf weather in the Twin Cities today as you can get. So why not stop in at the North American Banking Company Minnesota Golf Show this weekend, indoors at the Minneapolis Convention Center. The show runs Friday the 21st through Sunday the 23rd. And tickets are very, very affordable tickets at mngolfshow.com. Each ticket purchased includes 10 free greens fee passes as well. On Saturday this weekend at 1:30, up on the stage inside the Convention Center Hall, we will be doing a Purple Daily recording, and John Randall's going to join us for a portion of that too. So looking forward to talking football, talking Vikings, getting some stories out of John Randall. So mngolfshow.com, the North American Banking Company Minnesota Golf Show this weekend at the Minneapolis Convention Center. Also, I can tell you the Mackeys have already planned. We've done some great. We did some cooking the last couple nights. We fired up the slow cook Sunday. Tonight is Pep's Legit Pizza night. That's right. We're going to fire up the pizza oven, and it's going to be 15 below zero, and we're going to have a piping hot Pep's Legit Pizza, stone-baked, cracker-thin crust, zesty tomato sauce, pizza parlor vibes, if I may say. Got to cut that thing into squares, too, like a good Minnesotan. But you can find Pep's Legit Pizzas at a store near you in the frozen aisle and have an authentic at-home pizza parlor experience that you won't regret. Trust
All
the
right, what
Mackey.
time should I be over? I'll bring a
dude,
bottle of wine. We can watch Love is Blind. What time?
Well, so Love is Blind, we're all caught up on the first 7 or 8 episodes, whatever it is. The
don't say
Minnesota
anything.
cast. Okay.
I'm 2 episodes in, so don't say a word, please.
The Minnesota cast, they're unleashing a bunch of new episodes, I think, this weekend. So we can.
Oh, is it this weekend? Yeah, because there's 7 or 8 that are available, but there's still a few to release. Okay, good.
Yeah, it's great.
All right, I'm only 2 in, so yeah, don't say a word. I'm fascinated.
Me
by
too.
That show. This is the first time, by the way, I'm watching it. I know.
Don't tell me what happened.
That I know. Yeah, Love is Blind is.
There's
not
two.
up your
There's
alley.
2 former Gopher basable players as contestants on the show.
Really?
There's
I
some
didn't
controversy
realize that.
surrounding one of them. Yeah.
Okay.
Great.
All
Actually,
right.
both.
I know
of
there
them.
was a Park Center alum, and a woman that went to Park Center,
Yeah.
but she's a little bit older than the guy. So yeah,
It's Brent Gates
Yeah.
and Dan Wilson. Love is Blind and I'm old.
It's Glenn Perkins. Let's go.
Here's an interesting question that somebody just texted me. And I don't know how to quantify this, and it may not be a big deal, but he says, okay, Josh McCown loves Sam Darnold. What sort of voice does Josh have in this equation? Does he have any voice in what they decide to do with Sam Darnold?
Does he also love JJ McCarthy?
And he may. I don't know. This person just texted saying, hey, don't forget how much Josh loves Sam Darnold. He's asking me, do you have a sense of what his voice is as we solve this somewhat conundrum?
But as Darnold's friend, he should want him to fly and be free and get a multi-year big contract. The problem is Darnold's not the plan. So the plan is JJ. So I got to think Josh, who played for a couple of teams in his day, would be happier for his friend if he could get the bag.
And I would ask Josh.
Josh helps Sam get the bag here.
That's not the
and he stays here and gets paid.
That's not how we're doing.
No, I don't think so. That's what I'm saying. I mean, Josh has a voice, undoubtedly, but it's not KOC's voice. It's not Kwesi's voice.
Right.
I would ask Josh, do you also like JJ McCarthy? And how do you feel about Trey Smith? How do you feel about Kevin Zeitler? How do you feel about the $40 million in extra cap space the Vikings can use to make the team better when they let Sam Darnold go sign with the Las Vegas Raiders? Josh, what do you have to say about that? That's what I would ask.
All right, here's the rest of the list of the top 50 ESPN free agents, Matt Bowen. So best fit, Sam Darnold, we mentioned Raiders. Byron Murphy Jr., also the Raiders.
Oh, okay.
We can react after I list the other 2. Cam Bynum, staying right here in purple. Aaron Jones, Denver Broncos. There's been enough Broncos-Aaron Jones team going back a few days, so not a surprise. Murphy to the Raiders. The Raiders need all sorts of help. I'll continue to say, I'm not sure I see both Byron Murphy Jr. and Cam Bynum back. Can certainly see one. If I had to bet right now on one, it would be Byron Murphy Jr.
Yeah, that's the Raiders just pillaging some of the Vikings key players from last year would be an interesting twist here. Yeah, it feels like Byron Murphy. I know there's a really good crop of free agent cornerbacks out there, but he is the youngest of the top 5 or 6. He wasn't A+ top of the line, but he was DJ Reed is in the mix. Charvarius Ward.
Would you put DJ above Byron? How old is DJ? He feels like he's young.
DJ Reed, by smarter people than me, is the higher graded and rated cornerback, but he's also 28 years old.
He's got a year on Byron. Yep, he's got a year.
And I think that matters when you're talking about potentially guaranteeing a couple years and familiarity with the system. I'd be more interested if, let's say, Byron Murphy moved on for whatever. Let's just say, hey, I can go get a bunch of money somewhere else. Asante Samuel Jr. is 25 years old, free agent from the Chargers. There are some guys you can still go after here, but I'm with you. I think Byron Murphy coming back is probably the bigger priority, especially with a guy at safety like Javon Holland sitting out there, 25, 26 years old, that Brian Flores helped draft in Miami. He's one of the top free agents.
I don't think they're paying Javon Holland. I don't. Wait until you see the Holland contract.
It's going to be like
really good player.
Million.
Don't get me wrong. Fine. He can do a lot. I get the flow connection, but I don't know if the Vikings are going to pay. Like, if they're going to pay a safety, they'll get Cam Bynum at a lesser number. Like the Javon Holland contract, I'm just telling you, wait until you see the numbers on that thing.
Yeah, the intriguing thing about Byron, that again we'll find out a week from now when his representation sits down with the Vikings, is what's the figure? Like, so the franchise figure, if I'm not mistaken, Phil looked this up yesterday, for a cornerback is $20 million. Okay, he's not, in my opinion, I'm not paying him 20. I'd probably max out just off the top of my head around 17. But if he's going to try to push that, then it becomes decision time. I like him. He's young. He's improved. But all of that being said, Dukes, if they sit down and they're like, we want 19, you got a problem there. So like this is why next week becomes so important, because this is the first time since the season came to an end that the agents are going to sit down with the GMs and actually exchange ideas on salaries, which of course goes back to the famous Ben Dagra Brzezinski story at the Combine, when the Adrian Peterson contract ended up with the two of them screaming at each other late night in like a bar or something, or a lobby. But I mean, this is where
some Dagra text messages that.
Yeah, this is where we get to find out though,
Classic.
where the rubber meets the road, because if the Murphy camp comes in and says $19 million, there's a decision there. Like, that's not a slam dunk then. If they say 16, you probably get that done.
I just wonder if you bend a little bit for Murphy. So you're okay paying him a good chunk of money for his ages, 27, 28, and 29 seasons? Like, if you're going to bend on a guy, I wonder if that's the guy you bend on.
Yeah. I mean, the age makes more sense than some of these. And the Vikings, historically, even with different front offices, have leaned more toward the 26 age range of free agents instead of the 28, 29, where you're getting more desperate. So, Dukes, a couple minutes left here. What's left in your scoop bag for us on this Tuesday?
All right, in no particular order, the Lynx have met with free agent Katie Lou Samuelson, connection to Nafisa Collier, UConn Huskies. The Indiana Fever waived her a few days ago. She will take her time. It's down to 4 teams, but the Lynx certainly one of 4 in that mix. The Twins were interested in Louis Urias. We talked, heck, I said in this space about, 10 or 12 days ago, signs point to Louis Urias ending up with the Twins. Well, he ended up getting a major league contract from the Sacramento, whatever they are, A's, Las Vegas.
The Athletics.
They don't know what they're calling
That's
them.
all they are, dude.
Athletics.
Do not call them.
Yep.
Don't call
Got
them
it.
by their town. Just call them the Athletics.
Okay, the Athletics. So credit to him, his representation, holding out, getting a major league contract. But there was interest from the Twins standpoint in a non-roster invite situation. But, of course, take the major league contract over an NRI deal. Also on Paul DeJong, the Twins had discussed some sort of split contract. But, Declan, you could chime in on this. Paul DeJong was pretty darn good last
was
year.
really
Correct me
good.
if I'm wrong on that.
He was solid.
He was always going to get a major league contract. So, yeah, it took a while. The Nationals give it to him. But it's not like the Twins were going to get him on a split contract.
Doogie, great stuff here today. Awesome stuff.
You got a
Good
Sean
Vikings
Johnson,
night.
Twins draft boss, was in Phoenix last weekend watching all sorts of teams. The Twins with 4 picks in the top 88 of the July draft. And, hey, Adam Silver at the podium over the weekend saying all signs point to, as we've said, that Mark Lowry, Alex Rodriguez will get those 23 votes from the Board of Governors. The earliest we're looking at, though, for a vote, it sounds like, is late March. Will Glenn Taylor appeal? That's the question. But to me, what exactly are you appealing? Are you really going to prove some sort of bias with the independent arbitrator, Tom Fraser? Best of luck on that. Like, I don't think that's a path to success. So we still await word. There are no signs that Glenn is going to appeal, but that's the open-ended question. Silver even alluded to that on Saturday, but all signs point to Mark and Alex having the 23 votes to become majority owners.
Darren Doogie Olson from the 5 Eyewitness News Sports Department every Tuesday and Thursday here. Good catching
All
up,
right, boys.
Doogs. We'll do it
Great
again
stuff.
Thursday.
I was at the
Thanks.
Tommy's Omaha game on Saturday. Had a blast. Johnny Tower, excellent coach. The Tommies leading the Summit League. Nice win for the Gophers as well at USC over my guy Eric Musselman on Saturday. Gophers at UCLA late tonight.
Let's go. That rematch.
After
from
0-6, now
the
5-9. Not too bad.
The Tubby game. Little rematch. All right, Dukes, we got to run here. On Purple Daily today, we've got our off-season blueprint 4.0 for you guys. The spreadsheet of glory. Minnesota sports with Mackey and Judd.